What's up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are breaking down running back Zack Moss and going over his potential fantasy outlook prior to the NFL draft. Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Anyway, let's get right into it. Started, check out the link in the description. We are offering a free till kickoff special for our fan companion tool. You get access all the way up into the kickoff of the NFL season for absolutely free, so make sure you check out that link. Okay, Zack Moss, running back out of Utah. Now, I think that this is going to be one of the more hotly debated running backs post-draft. He's not getting too much talk yet, but I'll get into my reasons why, but I really think that he's going to end up getting decent draft capital. Someone's going to end up drafting him high, and we're going to have a earnest conversation as to what his actual value is, landing on a team that has upside for him. I think that is going to be a mistake from a fantasy perspective, and we'll start getting some of the reasons why. When we look at this from a metric standpoint, this guy is basically a ball of muscle, 5'9", 223 pounds, 93rd percentile BMI. Came out of college as a senior, so he's a year older than a lot of his counterparts. That's a huge factor in dynasty that we have to consider. 31st percentile 40-yard dash score, terrible speed score. Didn't take all of the drills in the combine, so without the pro day, we don't know his burst or agility score. Does have a very high college dominator rating, was very involved in total yards and touchdown there in Utah. College yards per carry, 73rd percentile, and a decent college target share as well. So it's not like he's lacking in terms of production, but the way he goes about getting the production is the concerning part. So he has a pretty bad injury history. First season, he missed the opener. I don't know whether they said he wasn't conditioned, but there was also an injury, and then he also missed some time later in the year with a toe injury. His second year was the only year that he was able to make it through okay. In 2018, he tore his meniscus getting into bed. And then last year, he was dealing with a AC joint issue as well. And definitely, of all the running backs that are being considered around the first two rounds of fantasy drafts, has one of the most riddled injury histories. And that's definitely something we need to note for him. Not because I just want to label someone as injury prone, because in the NFL, anyone can get hurt on any play for any given reason. But it's his style of play that will lead to a continuation of these types of injuries. He's a very violent runner, kind of in terms of his running style. You can compare him to a guy like Chris Carson, who's injured a lot, or even a guy like Derrick Henry, but he's not as big as Derrick Henry. So a lot of the injuries that he's sustaining has to do with his just violent style of run. Now, I want to give him some props. Over the course of his career, we saw him become way more developed as a runner, way more patient. He can run his own blocking schemes. He can run a gap scheme. He doesn't bounce it outside nearly as much now as he used to. Very good at following blockers, and can pose as a problem for defenders to have to bring down. So he's a good running back in terms of fighting for extra yardage. Doesn't give you that top end speed, so he's not going to break away. They did use him somewhat as a receiver. Decent hands, not anything like you would expect from a receiving back from like McCaffrey or Kamara, but definitely can be used in the passing game. So there, and he's also a really good pass blocker, which I think is why he's going to end up with decent draft capital come the NFL draft. And people are going to talk themselves into drafting him. But with that injury history, the lack of top end speed, he's not ever going to command an actual volume share that's going to make him a fantasy running back one. And you can see his best comparable is Monty Ball, but another comparable for him is David Montgomery. And I really feel like Zack Moss kind of is the 2020 version of David Montgomery. Has a lot of physical traits that are going to be very alluring to NFL teams and is going to have a lot of breakout potential, but I don't foresee him actually ever coming to grips with that fantasy production standpoint. So overall, I'm probably not going to end up drafting him anywhere, but I would probably put his value, at least pre-draft, somewhere around mid to the end of the second round, which, as I'm guessing now, based on where he goes, he's probably going to end up seeing that draft capital go up a little bit. But we'll have another conversation once we see where he actually gets drafted, and we can try to put some real meat to our projections as to what we think his coming years are. But have to remember, anytime a running back comes out of college as a senior, that's eating into 1 year of his productive time in the NFL. Most running backs see a good 3 to 4 year productivity arc before they finally start gradually and sharply declining. So when a running back loses one of those productive years, it definitely tanks his dynasty value a good bit as well. So just something else to remember. Also, note the crying Jordan meme if you haven't noticed already, but I feel the same way. Anyway, that's pretty much it for Zack Moss. We'll continue to break down all the running backs and other fantasy relevant players in this class prior to the draft, and we'll do other videos as well, breaking them down once they actually have their future home. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and we will see you in the next video.